Hey there guys, Decadent Gamer here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the third and final platforming Crash Bandicoot game made by Naughty Dog. The third entry was released in 1998, and at this time, Crash was on the top of his game, as he was PlayStation's most beloved mascot. He was getting so much advertisement from being featured in magazines to getting his own TV commercials. He was pretty much neck and neck with Nintendo's Mario and Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog. Fun fact, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped was the first Crash Bandicoot game I ever played in the series. Back in 1998, I remember at my elementary school, they let the students subscribe to all sorts of magazines regarding the topics that we typically were into, from toys, books, and video games. Obviously, I subscribed to video games, and the cool thing about them was that every so often, a demo disc would come with the magazine. One of the magazines my brother and I received contained a demo disc that featured a demo of Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. It featured Crash's first level, along with Coco's jet ski level. Needless to say, we loved it, and later that year we got the game for our PS1. However, we never actually beat the game. You see, we got stuck in a level Boneyard, mainly because we got scared of the dinosaur chase sequence. Hey, we were kids and that dinosaur was angry as hell, so suffice to say, we never completed the game. It wasn't until a few years later where I matured and finally beat the game. Crash Bandicoot 3 is contaminated with nostalgia for me, but I will try to review the game as objectively as I can. The story begins assuming you collected all the gems in the last game. We see Cortex's space station plummeting towards the Wumpa Islands, and Crash lands into a temple-like structure, releasing a dark mystical power known as Uka Uka, the evil twin brother of Aku Aku. Uka Uka berates Cortex for his past failures of world domination, but offers to help him since he was the one who released him. Uka Uka introduces Dr. Nefarious Trophy, a master of time, to help, and with the power of his time twister machine, they are able to travel through time. Cortex and his minions begin searching for power crystals that are scattered throughout time in efforts to accomplish their evil plan. Aku Aku informs Crash and Coco about Cortex's nefarious plans and warps them to the time-twisting machine. Crash and Coco must travel through time and collect the crystals before Cortex's goons get their grubby hands on them. So essentially, it's pretty much a race through time. Like the last game, the story is pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Crash's core gameplay is pretty much the same where you get from point A to point B. Crash is still able to spin dash, slide, and jump on enemies, and he can still perform the belly flop as well, though it's not as heavily implemented like it was in the last game. One new helpful feature is that the overhead display now informs you of how many boxes are in the level along with how many you've collected so far. It makes box collecting a whole lot easier since you don't have to wait until you reach the end of the level like you did in Crash 2. However, the most noteworthy new feature are the power-ups. See, after you defeat a boss, you earn a new power-up. I'm personally glad they implemented a feature like this, as it makes traversing through levels even more fun to go through, though I personally could do without the super belly flop. It's just not all that useful with the core gameplay. The double jump and super spin are where it's at, as they allow you to take platforming shortcuts when timed right. The fruit bazooka was awesome and great for taking out enemies or nitro crates from afar, but admittedly, it does slow down the gameplay, as Crash needs to stop dead in his tracks to use it. Still, if you're feeling lazy, it's a very useful power-up. And last we have the Crash Dash, which allows Crash to run faster and make longer jumps. Well, would you look at that? Crash took some inspiration from Sonic the Hedgehog. Totally kidding, but still, it's a neat little feature for sure. Crash also has some swimming levels, and well, they actually aren't all that bad. The flow of the gameplay is a little slower compared to when Crash is on foot, but the levels aren't too long, and the enemies aren't too bad. Just watch out for the bombs and you're golden. Some vehicle levels were also included as well. Now, in most games that involve vehicles, they can either be good or bad. In Crash Bandicoot 3's case, they aren't that bad and control rather decently for the most part. The only one I didn't really care for was the motorcycle levels. I love motorcycles, but the gimmick wasn't done all that great. However, it's not the worst vehicle I played in a game. And lastly, we have animal riding levels. I forgot to mention this in Crash 2, but in that game, you got to ride a cute little polar bear through a few levels. Here, we have Crash riding a baby T-Rex through a prehistoric jungle, and Coco who rides her cute little tiger Purah through the Great Wall of China. Both animals control rather well for the most part. The main goal of the game is pretty much the same as the last one. Collect all 5 crystals and beat a boss to advance to the next room. The boss battles in this game are a lot more engaging than the previous ones, providing fast, action-packed gameplay. Admittedly, I did lose to Dingodile quite a few times. That flamethrower of his is dangerous. Nevertheless, the battles provide a good chance to keep you on your feet. And speaking of which, Cortex's boss battle is definitely better than the jetpack race in Crash 2. There is just so much going on, it's crazy! Granted, I did die a few times, but it made it that much more rewarding when you finally defeated him. This is the kind of dynamic I love in boss battles. Other than the crystals, the gems make a return once again, and they're a lot more easier to obtain thanks to the lack of backtracking. Hallelujah! However, we also have the inclusion of time trials. You can do time trial missions after you beat the level you just completed. When you revisit the level, you can enter time trial mode by running into this clock. You must get to the end of the level and the amount of time required in order to get the relic. The relics go by Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum. I honestly have never gotten a Platinum relic before, as you have to know the levels inside and out and time everything perfectly to get through the stage quickly. YouTuber Some Call Me Johnny is a pro at this, as he's gotten so many. To you, sir, I salute you. The relics are needed in order to access a hidden room containing 5 secret stages. Doing all this will give you 100% of the game completed, and if you get all the relics and gems, you'll get a hefty 105% completion rating. This game undoubtedly provides tons of replay value, and with the backtracking not being as big an issue like in the last game, you're bound to enjoy yourself a lot more as you try to complete the game at 100%. The graphics once again look great for the PS1. The levels are even more detailed and fluid in design. I think that the time travel theme allowed Naughty Dog to go even further with the detailing of the levels. The character models aren't changed, but they weren't bad to begin with, for PS1 standards. The music in this game is solid, classic Crash Bandicoot style with fast rockin' tunes that completely energize you as you run through the levels. This game also has one of the most catchiest theme songs I've ever heard in a video game, a true classic. The composer Josh Mansell has such a distinctive style and is one of the best video game composers around in my opinion. Other than the motorcycle levels, which aren't that bad since they're pretty short, I honestly can't think of any negatives in this game at all. And believe me, it's not the nostalgia talking. I honestly found nothing bad about this game as I replayed through it. Without a doubt, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped was hands down an amazing game for its time. Improved control, tons of replay value, good bosses. I truly believe this game deserves all the hype it got and continues to get today. Naughty Dog era Crash Bandicoot trilogy was a great example of a game series that kept getting better with each release. So I give Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped a solid delicious 5 out of 5 Wumpa Fruits. Even though this game is pure nostalgia for me, the nostalgia alone doesn't overturn my feelings for how it was developed. It's truly a great game and one of the best 3D platformers of all time. Growing up in the 90s, I never owned a Nintendo 64, and I remember seeing all the great platformers I had from Conker's Bad Fur Day to Banjo-Kazooie. But luckily, I had Crash Bandicoot, as well as Spyro the Dragon, to experience the 3D platforming craze of the 90s. Despite the high sales of Crash Bandicoot Warped, Naughty Dog felt it was time to move on to a new project. But they did give us one more game in the form of a spin-off, so stay tuned for my review of CTR Crash Team Racing, coming soon. Hey there guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please hit the subscribe button for new upcoming video game content. I try and upload at least once every Friday. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.